সোসাইটি ফর দ্য ভিজুয়ালি হ্যান্ডিক্যাপের পক্ষ থেকে পড়ছি প্রগতি বঙ্গ মাইন্ডস্কেপস হায়ার সেকেন্ডারি ইংলিশ সিলেকশন ইংলিশ বি prose poetry play class 12 contents prose 1 The eyes have it Ruskin Bond page 71 2 Strong roads within bracket extract from Wings of Fire bracket close APJ Abdul Kalam page 76 number 3 Thank you mom Langston Hughes page 80 4 3 questions Leo Tolstoy page 86 poetry 1 on killing a tree Gibbs Pattle page 95 2 Asleep in the Valley Arthur Rimbaud page 100 3 Shall I compare thee William Shakespeare page 104 4 The Poetry of Art John Keats page 109 Play The Proposal Anton Chekhov page 115 page 71 The Eyes Have It Ruskin Bond Ruskin Bond born 1934 is an Indian author of British descent. In 1992, he received the Sahitya Academy Award for his short story collection. Our trees still grow in Dhera. He was awarded the Padma Shri in 1999 for contributions of children's literature. He now lives in Landour near Mussoorie. I had the train compartment to myself up to Rohana. Then a girl got in. The couple who saw her off were probably her parents. They seemed very anxious about her comfort, and the woman gave the girl detailed instructions as to where to keep her things, when not to lean out of windows, and how to avoid speaking to strangers. They called their goodbyes, and the train pulled out of the station. As I was totally blind at the time, my eyes sensitive only to light and darkness, I was unable to tell what the girl looked like, but I knew she wore slippers from the way they slapped against her heels. It would take me some time to discover something about her looks, and perhaps I never would, but I liked the sound of her voice and even the sound of her slippers. Are you going all the way to Dhera? I asked. I must have been sitting in a dark corner because my voice stuttered her. She gave a little exclamation and said, I didn't know anyone else was here. Well, it often happens that people with good eyesight fail to see what is right in front of them. Then they have too much to take in, I suppose, whereas people who cannot see bracket or see very little bracket close have to take in only the essential, whatever registers most tellingly on their remaining sense. I didn't see you either, I said, but I heard you come in. I wondered if I would be able to prevent her from discovering that I was blind, provided I kept to my seat. I thought it shouldn't be too difficult. The girl said, I am getting off at Saharanpur. My aunt is meeting me there. Page 72. Then I had better not get too familiar. I replied. Aunts are usually formidable creatures. Where are you going? She asked. To Dhera. and then to Mussoorie. Oh, how lucky you are. I wish I were going to Mussoorie. I love the hills, especially in October. Yes, this is the best time, I said, calling on my memories. The hills are covered with wild dahlias. The sun is delicious, and at night you can sit in front of a log fire and drink a little brandy. Most of the tourists have gone and the roads are quiet and almost deserted. Yes, October is the best time. She was silent. I wondered if my words had touched her or whether she thought me a romantic fool. Then I made a mistake. What is it like outside? I asked, ashamed to find nothing strange in the question. Had she noticed already that I could not see? But her next question removed my doubts. Why don't you look out of the window? She asked. I moved easily along the berth and felt for the window ledge. The window was open and I faced it, making a pretense of studying the landscape. I heard the panting of the engine, the rumble of the wheels, and in my mind's eye I could see telegraph posts flashing by. Have you noticed, I ventured, that the tree seems to be moving while we seem to be standing still? That always happens, she said. Do you see any animals? No, I answered quite confidently. I knew that there were hardly any animals left in the forest near Dehra. I turned from the window and faced the girl, and for a while we sat in silence. You have an interesting face, I remarked. I was becoming quite daring, but it was a safe remark. Few girls can resist flattery. She laughed pleasantly, a clear, ringing laugh. It's nice to be told I have an interesting face. I am tired of people telling me I have a pretty face. Oh, so you do have a pretty face, thought I, and aloud I said, well, an interesting face can also be pretty. Page 73. You are a very gallant young man, she said. But why are you so serious? I thought then I would try to laugh for her, but the thought of laughter only made me feel trouble and lonely. We will soon be at your station, I said. Thanks goodness, it's a short journey. I can't bear to sit in a train for more than 2 or 3 hours. Yet I was prepared to sit there for almost any length of time just to listen to her talking. Her voice had the sparkle of a mountain stream. As soon as she left the train, she would forget our brief encounter, but it would stay with me for the rest of the journey and for some time after. The engine's whistles shrieked, the carriage wheels changed their sound and rhythm. The girl got up and began to collect her things. I wondered if she wore her hair in bun or if it was plaited. Perhaps it was hanging loose over her shoulders, or was it cut very short? The train drew slowly into the station. Outside there was the shouting of porters and vendors and a high-pitched female voice near the carriage door. That voice must have belonged to the girl's aunt. Goodbye, the girl said. She was standing very close to me, so close that the perfume from her hair was tantalizing. I wanted to raise my hand and touch her hair, but she moved away. Only his scent perfume still lingered where she had stood. There was some confusion in the doorway. A man getting into the compartment stammered an apology. Then the door banged and the world was shut out again. I returned to my breath, the guard below his whistle, and we moved off once again. I had a game to play and a new fellow traveler. The train gathered speed. The wheels took up their song. The carriage groaned and shook. I found the window and sat in front of it, staring into the daylight that was darkness for me. So many things were happening outside the window. It could be a fascinating game, gazing what went on out there. The man who had entered the compartment broke into my reverie. "You must be disappointed," he said. "I am not nearly as attractive a traveling companion as the one who just left." Page 74. "She was an interesting girl," I said. "Can you tell me, did she keep her hair long or short?" "I don't remember," he said, sounding puzzled. "It was her eyes I noticed, not her hair. She had beautiful eyes, but they were of no use to her. She was completely blind. Didn't you notice?" Exercise A. Think the right choice. Question number 1. The girl was startled when the narrator first spoke to her because A. She did not see him at first. B. She was sitting in a dark corner. C. She was not used to being spoken to in that manner. D. She did not know that there was another person in the compartment. Question number 2. Then I made a mistake. The mistake that the narrator made was A. to ask a wrong question. B. to behave rudely with the girl. C. to let slip the fact that he could not see. D. to crack a joke. Question number 3. The game that the narrator played with his fellow travelers was to A. pretended that he could see. B. pretended that he could not hear. C. make conversation about things around them. D. make sure that they did not realize that he could not see. Question number 4. The new fellow travelers remarked to the narrator by surprise because A. he said that he did not notice the girl's hairstyle. B. he said that there was no girl at all. C. he said he had seen a boy instead. D. he said that the girl had no sense of humor. Exercise B. Question number 1. Choose the option that best answered the given question. Question number 1. What is the narrator's very first clue about his fellow travelers in the train? A. He knows that he wears slippers from the way they slap against her heels. B. He knows that she was light eyes and golden hair. C. He knows that she has a radiant smile. D. He knows that she wears glasses. Question number 2. What further arouses his curiosity about her? A. Her voice. B. Her good looks. C. Her perfume. D. Her sense of humor. Page number 75. Question number 3. Where did the girl say she was getting off? A. Dehra. B. Saharanpur. C. Mussoorie. D. Nainital. 4. Question number 4. How does the narrator attempt to strike up a conversation with the girl? A. He asks her where she is going. B. He asks her what she does for a living. C. He tells her about his childhood. D. He talks about the weather outside. Question number 2. Answer the about 300 words. Question number 1. Is the narrator somewhat cautious about not revealing too much about himself? Support your point with instances from the text. Question number 2. Does the author help us anticipate the ironical twist in the end during the course of the narrative? If yes, give example from the text to support your argument. Question number 3. Would you agree that this story is a comment of saying? Support your point with instances from the text. Exercise C. For each of the following words, find a word from the text that has the same or similar meaning. 1. Brave. 2. Taken aback. 3. Make believe. 4. Tempting. 5. Stayed on. The eyes have it. প্রোজটি এখানে শেষ হলো। পরবর্তী প্রোজ স্ট্রং রুটস পরবর্তী ফাইলে। পেজ 76 স্ট্রং রুটস APJ আব্দুল কালাম। অভুল ফকির জৈনুলাবুদ্দিন Abdul Kalam, born 1931, popularly known as Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, is an Indian scientist and the 11th President of India. Born and raised in Rameswaram, Tamil Nadu, Kalam went on to study physics at St. Joseph College, Tiruchirappalli, and aerospace engineering at the Madras Institute of Technology MIT. Kalam began his career at Hindustan Aeronautics Limited, where he was assigned to build a hovercraft prototype and later moved to ISRO, where he helped establish the Vikram Sarabhai Space Center and pioneered India's first space launch vehicles program. Strong Roots is the first chapter of Kalam's best-selling autobiography Wings of Fire 1999, where he examines his early life, hardship, fortitude, luck and chance that eventually led him to lead Indian space research. I was born into a middle-class Tamil family in the island town of Rameswaram in the erstwhile Madras state. My father, Jeinulabuddin, had neither much formal education nor much wealthy. Despite these advantages, he possessed great innate wisdom and a true generosity of spirit. He had an ideal helpmate in my mother, Ashiamma, ASHIAMMA. I do not recall the exact number of people she fed every day, but I am quite certain that far more outsiders ate with us than all the members of our own family put together. My parents were widely regarded as an ideal couple. My mother's lineage was the more distinguished, one of her forebears having been bestowed the title of Bahadur by the British. I was one of many children, a short boy with rather undistinguished looks, born to tall and handsome parents. We lived in our ancestral house, which was built in the middle of the 19th century. It was a fairly large pucca house made of limestone and brick on the mosque street in Rameshwaram. My austere father used to avoid all essential comforts and luxuries. However, all necessities were provided for in terms of food, medicine, or clothing. In fact, I would say mine was a very secured childhood, materially and emotionally. I normally ate with my mother sitting on the floor of the kitchen. She would place a banana leaf before me, on which she then ladled rice and aromatic sambar, a variety of sharp homemade pickle, and a dollop of fresh coconut chutney. Page 77. The Shiva temple, which made Rameshwaram so famous to pilgrims, was about a 10-minute walk from our house. Our locality was predominantly Muslim, but there were quite a lot of Hindu families too, living amicably with their Muslim neighbors. There was a very old mosque in our locality where my father would take me for even prayers. I had not the faintest idea of the meaning of the Arabic prayers chanted but I was totally convinced that they reached God. When my father came out of the mosque after the prayers, people of different religions would be sitting outside waiting for him. Many of them offered bowls of water to my father, who would dip his fingertips in them and say a prayer. This water was then carried home for invalids. I also remember people visiting our home to offer thanks after being crude. Father always smiled and asked them to thank Allah the Merciful. The high priest of Rameshwaram temple, Pakshi Lakshmana Shastri, was a very close friend of my father. One of the most vivid memories of my early childhood is of the two men, each of the traditional actors, discussing spiritual matters. When I was old enough to ask questions, I asked my father about the relevance of prayer. My father told me there was nothing mysterious about prayer. Rather, prayer made possible a communion of the spirit between people. When you pray, he said, you transcend your body and become a part of the cosmos, which knows no division of wealth, age, caste, or creed. My father could convey complex spiritual concepts in very simple, down to earth Tamil. He once told me, in his own time, in his own place, in what he really is, and in the stage he has reached, good or bad, every human being is a specific element within the whole of the manifest divine being. So, why be afraid of difficulties, suffering, and problems? When troubles come, try to understand the relevance of your sufferings. Adversity always presents opportunities for introspections. Why didn't you say this to the people who come to you for help and advice? I asked my father. He put his hands on my shoulders and looked straight into my eyes. For quite some time he said nothing, as if he was judging my capacity to comprehend his words. Then he answered in a low, deep voice. His answer filled me with a strange energy and enthusiasm. Whenever human beings find themselves alone, as a natural reaction, they start looking for company. Whenever they are in trouble, they look for someone to help them. Whenever they reach an impasse, they look to someone to show them the way out. Page 78. Every recurrent anguish, longing and desire finds into own special helper. For the people who come to me in distress, I am but a go-between in their effort to propitiate demonic force with prayers and offering. This is not a correct approach at all and should never be followed. One must understand the difference between a fear-ridden vision of destiny and the vision that enables us to seek the enemy of fulfillment within ourselves. I remember my father starting his day at 4 a.m. by reading the namaz before dawn. After the namaz, he used to walk down to a small coconut grove we owned about 4 miles from our home. He would return with about a dozen coconuts tied together thrown over his shoulder, and only then would he had his breakfast. This remained his routine even when he was in his late 60s. I have throughout my life tried to emulate my father in my own world of science and technology. I have endeavored to understand the fundamental truths revealed to me by my father and feel convinced that there exists a divine power that can lift one up from confusion, misery, melancholy, and failure, and guide one to one's true place. And once an individual serves his emotional and physical bond, he is on the road to freedom, happiness, and peace of mind. Exercise A. Tick a right choice. Question number 1. Abdul Kalam described his parents as being A. wealthy, educated, and generous, B. highly educated but not wealthy, C. very poor and illiterate, D. neither wealthy or highly educated but kind, wise, and large-hearted. Question number 2. We know that Kalam's father was acknowledged as a spiritual person because A. he was very knowledgeable about spiritual matters, B. he worked at a local mosque, C. he read the namaz before dawn, D. the priest of the Rameshwaram temple had discussion with him. Question number 3. Kalam is also spiritual because A. he visits the mosque every day, B. he tries to follow in his father's footsteps, C. he believes in the power of the divine, D. he believes that an individual has to sever all ties to be happy. Page 79. Question number 4. Kalam's father believed that for people in distress he was A. mere meditator, B. greater than God, C. a solver of problems, D. a helpless onlooker of their difficulties. Exercise B. 1. Choose the option that best answer the given question. Question number 1. How does APJ Abdul Kalam sum up his childhood in Rameswaram? A time when he moved from rags to riches. B, a period of extreme comfort and affluences. C, a time of want and deprivation. D, a very serious time materially and emotionally. Question number 2. How does Kalam describe his neighborhood? A predominantly Muslim locality close to the famous Shiva temple where Hindu families live amicably with their Muslim neighbors. B, a predominantly Hindu locality where the Shiva temple fraught with tension between the Muslim and Hindu communities. C, a predominating Christian locality where the Muslim popularity was thinly spread. D, a cosmopolitan urban neighborhood with people of all castes, creeds and communities sharing a high-rise apartment near the Shiva temple. Question number 3. Why was Kalam's father well known in their locality? A, he was a successful doctor. B, he was a respected teacher. C, he was a healer who prayed for the well-being of his fellow men. D, he was a wealthy money lender. 2. Answer in about 300 words. Question number 1. What was Kalam's father's responses to his son's query about prayer and spirituality? Question number 2. How did his father's attitude to adversity influence the young Kalam? Exercise C. Use the correct model verb to complete the following sentences. Question number 1. In fact, I dash say mine was a very secure childhood materially and emotionally. Question number 2. My father dash convey complex spiritual concept in very simple down to earth Tamil. Question number 3. 1 dash understand that difference between a fear ridden vision of destiny and the vision that enable used to shake the enemy of fulfillment within ourselves. Question number 4. I feel convinced that there exists a divine power that dash lift one up from confusion, misery, melancholy and failure. Strong roots প্রোজটি এখানে শেষ হলো। পরবর্তী প্রোজ থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম পরবর্তী ফাইলে। পেজ 80 থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাম ল্যাংস্টন হাগস। ল্যাংস্টন হাগস ব্র্যাকেটে 1902 to 1967 bracket close was an American poet, social activist, novelist, playwright and columnist. He was one of the earliest innovators of the then new literary art from judge poetry. Hughes is best known for his work during the Harlem Renaissance. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but hammer and nails. It had a long strap and she carried it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night and she was walking alone when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with the single tug. The boy gave it from behind, but the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance. So instead of taking a full blast as he had hoped. The boy fell on his back on the sidewalk and his leg flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue jean stare. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his shirt front and shook him until his teeth rattled. After that, the woman said, "Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here." She still held him, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. Then she said, "Now, aren't you ashamed of yourself?" Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, Yes, ma'am." The woman said, "What did you want to do it for?" The boy said, "I didn't aim to." She said, "You a lie." By that time, 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, turned to look, and some stood watching. "If I turn you loose, you will run?" asked the woman. "Yes, ma'am," said the boy. "Then I won't turn you loose," said the woman. She did not release him. "I am very sorry, lady. I am sorry," whispered the boy. Page 81. "And your face is dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face for you. Aren't you got nobody home to tell you to wash your face?" "No, ma'am," said the boy. "Then it will get washed this evening," said the large woman, starting up the street, dragging the frightened boy behind her. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail and willow-wild in tennis shoes and blue jeans. The woman said, "You ought to be my son. I would teach you right from wrong. Least I can do right now is to wash your face. Are you hungry?" "No, ma'am," said the being dragged boy. "I just want you to turn me loose." "Was I bothering you when I turned that corner?" asked the woman. "No, ma'am, but you put yourself in contact with me," said the woman. "If you think that contact is not going to last a while, you got another thought coming. When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Mr. Loyola Bates Washington Jones." Sweet people out of the boy's face, and he began to struggle. Mrs. Jones stopped, jerked him around in front of her, put a half Nelson about his neck, and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to her doors, she dragged the boy inside, down a hall, and into a large kitchenette furnished room at the rear of the house. She switched on the light and left the door open. The boy could hear other roomers laughing and talking in the large house. Some of their doors were open too, so he knew he and the woman were not alone. The woman still had him by the neck in the middle of her room. She said, "What is your name?" "Roger," answered the boy. "Then, Roger, you go to that sink and wash your face," said the woman. Whereupon she turned him loose at last. Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. "Let the water run until it gets warm," she said. "Here's a clean towel. You gonna talk me to jail?" asked the boy, bending over the sink. "Not with that face. I would not take you now here," said the woman. "Here I am trying to get home to cook me a bite to eat, and you snatch my pocketbook. Maybe you aren't been to your super either, late as it be, have you?" Page 82. "There's nobody home at my house," said the boy. "Then we will eat," said the woman. "I believe you are hungry or been hungry to try to snatch my pocketbook." "I wanted a pair of blue suede shoes," said the boy. "Well, you did not have to snatch my pocketbook to get some suede shoes," said Mrs. Loyola Bates. Washington Jones, "You could for ask me, ma'am." The water dripping from his face, the boy looked at her. There was a long pause, a very long pause, after he had dried his face and, not knowing what else to do, dried it again. The boy turned around, wondering what next. The door was open. He could make a dash for it down the hall. He could run. The woman was sitting on the day bed. After a while she said, "I were young once, and I wanted things I could not get." There was another long pause. The boy's mouth opened. Then he frowned, but not knowing he frowned. The woman said, "You thought I was going to say but, didn't you? You thought I was going to say but I didn't snatch people's pocketbooks." "Well, I wasn't going to say that." Pause, silence. "I have done things too which I would not tell you, son, neither tell God, if he didn't already know. So you sit down while I fix up something to eat. You might run that comb through your hair so you will look presentable." In another corner of the room, behind the screen, was a gas plate and an ice box. Mrs. Jones got up and went behind the screen. The woman did not watch the boy to see if he was going to run now, nor did she watch her purse, which she left behind her on the day bed. But the boy took care to sit on the far side of the room, where he thought she could easily see him out of the corner of the other eye, if she wanted to. He did not trust the woman not to trust him, and he did not want to be mistrusted now. "Do you need somebody to go to the store?" asked the boy. "Maybe to get some milk or something?" "Don't believe I do," said the woman, "unless you just want sweet milk yourself. I was going to make cocoa out of this canned milk I got here." "That will be fine," said the boy. Page 83. She heated some lima beans and ham she had in the icebox, made the cocoa, and set the table. The woman did not ask the boy anything about where he lived or his folk, or anything else that would embarrass him. Instead, as they ate, she told him about a job in a hotel beauty shop that stayed open late, what the work was like, and how all kinds of women came in and out, blondes, redheads, and Spanish. Then she cut him a half of her 10-cent cake. "Eat some more, son," she said. When they were finished eating, she got up and said, "Now here, take this $10 and buy yourself some blue suede shoes. And next time, do you make the mistake of latching onto my pocketbook, nor nobody else, because shoes come by devilish like that will burn your feet. I got to get my rest now, but I wish you would behave yourself, son, from here on in. She led him down the hall to the front door and opened it. Good night. Behave yourself, boys, she said, looking out into the street. The boy wanted to say something else other than thank you, ma'am, to Mrs. Loyola Bates Washington Jones, but he couldn't do so as he turned at the barren stoop and looked back at the large woman in the door. He barely managed to say thank you before she shut the door, and he never saw her again. Exercise A. Tick the right choice. Question number 1. The boy could not run with the prize he snatched because A. he felt guilty, B. the purse was too heavy, C. the strap of the purse snapped, D. the purse was large and the boy lost his balance and fell down when the strap broke. Question number 2. The woman dragged the boy to her house to A. punish him, B. care for him, C. turn him over to the police, D. clean him up and cook him a meal. Question number 3. The woman feels sorry for the boy because A. he was unwashed, B. he had no one at home, C. she said she had been in a similar situation when she was young and she could understand what he was going through, D. he was hot, tired and hungry. Page number 84. Question number 4. The boy wanted to thank the woman for A. being nice to him, B. understanding him and being kind towards him, C. not taking him to the police, D. making him realize that the path he was taking was not the right one. Exercise B. 1. Choose the option that best answers the given question. Question number 1. When and where did Roger and Mrs. Loyola Bates Washington Jones meet? A. At Mrs. Loyola Bates Washington Jones' house at 9 in the morning, B. by the sidewalk at 11 o'clock at night, C. at a cafe at 11 o'clock in the morning, D. at Roger's house at noon. Question number 2. How did Mrs. Jones ensure that he could not break free from her grip? A. She turned him around in front of her and tied him up with a rope. B. She turned him around in front of her and handcuffed him. C. She turned him around in front of her and gripped him tightly around his neck. D. She turned him around in front of her and punched him in the nose. 3. Which one of these lines spoken by Mrs. Jones tells you that she can read Roger's mind? A. Well, you didn't have to snatch my pocketbook to get some suede shoes. B. You thought I was going to say but, didn't you? You thought I was going to say, but I did not snatch people's pocketbooks. Well, I wasn't going to say that. See, not with that face, I would not take you nowhere. Now here. D. Pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here. Question number 2, answer in about 300 words. Question number 1, why did Roger not try to run away later, although he had an opportunity to do so? Question number 2, when I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Mrs. Loyola Bates Washington Jones. Imagine that you are Roger and that about 10 years have passed since the night of your encounter with Mrs. Jones. So write her a letter telling her about how you felt that night and the tremendous impact her personality has had on your life ever since. Exercise C, change the following into reported speech. 1. The woman said, pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here. Pick up theke give it here of the inverted comma. Question number 2, within inverted comma, was I bothering you when I turned that corner? Inverted comma closed, asked the woman. Question number 3, within inverted comma, you gonna take me to jail? Inverted comma closed, asked the boy, bending over the sink. Page 85, question number 4, within inverted comma, do you need somebody to go to the store? Inverted comma closed, asked the boy. Our inverted comma, maybe to get some milk or something. Inverted comma close. Question number 5, within inverted comma, good night, behave yourself, boy. Inverted comma close, she said, looking out into the street. Thank you, ma'am. Prose এখানে শেষ হলো। Next prose, 3 questions পরবর্তী ফাইলে। Page number 86, 3 questions. Nikolaevich Tolstoy, within bracket 1828 to 1910, bracket close, better known as Leo Tolstoy, is regarded as one of the greatest novelists in the history of world literature. His War and Peace and Anna Karenina are almost universally acknowledged as all-encompassing documents of human existence and supreme examples of the realistic novel. Tolstoy is also considered a major religious and philosophic thinker, germs of which can be seen in his earlier fiction, but which ultimately came to fruition after the spiritual crisis he underwent, beginning with deep depression in 1875, characterized chiefly by his devotion to a close and literal reading of the Gospels of Christ. Tolstoy's religious convictions led him to a life of personal asceticism and social action that influenced Christian thinking around the world and had a major impact on the thought and works of such social activities as Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi in India and Jane Addams in the United States. It once occurred to a certain teacher that if he always knew the right time to begin everything, if he knew who were the right people to listen to and whom to avoid, and above all, if he always knew that was the most important thing to do, he would never fail in anything he might undertake. And this thought having occurred to him, he had it proclaimed throughout his kingdom that he would give a great reward to anyone who would teach him what was the right time for every action and who were the most necessary people and how he might know what was the most important thing to do. And learned men came to the teacher, but they all answered his questions differently. In reply to the first question, some said that to know the right time for every action, one must draw up in advance a table of days, months, and years, and must live strictly according to it. Only thus, said they, could everything be done at its proper time. Others declared that it was impossible to decide beforehand the right time for every action, but that not letting oneself be absorbed in idle pastime, one should always attend to all that was going on and then do what was most needful. Others again said that however attentive the teacher might be to what was going on, it was impossible for one man to decide correctly the right time for every action. Page 87. But that he should have a council of wise men who would help him to fix the proper time for everything. But then again others said there was some things which could not wait to be laid before a council, but about which one had at once to decide whether to undertake them or not. But in order to decide that, one must know beforehand what was going to happen. It is only magicians who know that, and therefore, in order to know the right time for every action, one must consult magicians. Equally various were the answers to the second questions. Some said the people the teacher most needed were his counselors, other the priests, other the doctors, while some said the warriors were the most necessary. To the third question as to what was the most important occupation, some replied that the most important thing in the world was science. Others said it was skill in warfare, and others again that it was religious worship. All the answers being different, the teacher agreed with none of them and gave the reward to none, but still wishing to find the right answer to his question, he decided to consult a hermit widely renowned for his wisdom. The hermit lived in a wood which he never quitted, and he received none but common folk. So the teacher put on simple clothes, and before reaching the hermit's cell, dismounted from his horse and leaving his bodyguard behind went on alone. When the teacher approached, the hermit was digging the ground in front of his hut. Seeing the teacher, he greeted him and went on digging. The hermit was frail and weak, and each time he stuck his spade into the ground and turned a little earth, he breathed heavily. The teacher went up to him and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the people I most need, and to whom should I therefore pay more attention than to the rest, and what affairs are the most important and need my first attention? The hermit listened to the teacher but answered nothing. He just spat on his hand and recommenced digging. You are tired, said the teacher. Let me take the spade and walk a while for you. Thanks, said the hermit, and giving the spade to the teacher, he sat down on the ground. Page 88. When he had dug 2 beds, the teacher stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit again gave no answer but rose, stretched out his hand for the spade and said, Now rest a while and let me walk a bit. But the teacher did not give him the spade and continued to dig. 1 hour passed on another. The sun began to sink behind the trees, and the teacher at last struck the spade into the ground and said, I came to you, wise man, for an answer to my question. If you can give me none, tell me so, and I will return home. Here comes something running, said the hermit. Let us see who it is. The teacher turned round and saw a bearded man come running out of the wood. The man held his hands pressed against his stomach, and blood was flowing from under them. When he reached the teacher, he fell fainting on the ground, moaning feebly. The teacher and the hermit unfastened the man's clothing. There was a large wound in his stomach. The teacher washed it as best he could and bandaged it with his handkerchief and with a towel the hermit had. But the blood would not stop flowing, and the teacher again and again removed the bandage soaked with warm blood and rebandaged the wound. When at last the blood ceased flowing, the man revived and asked for something to drink. The teacher brought fresh water and gave it to him. Meanwhile, the sun had set and it had become cool. So the teacher, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut and laid him on the bed. Laying on the bed, the man closed his eyes and was quiet. But the teacher was so tired with his walk and with the work he had done that he crouched down on the threshold and also fell asleep so soundly that he slept all through the short summer night. When he awoke in the morning, it was long before he could remember where he was or who was the strange bearded man lying on the bed and gazing intently at him with shining eyes. Forgive me, said the bearded man in the weak voice, when he saw that the teacher was awake and was looking at him. I do not know you and have nothing to forgive you for, said the teacher. You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore to revenge himself on you because you executed his brother and seized his property. I knew you had gone alone to see the hermits, and I resolved to kill you on your way back. But the day passed and you did not return, so I came out from my ambush to find you, and I came upon your bodyguard, and they recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from them, but should have bled to death had you not raised my wound. I wished to kill you, and you have saved my life. Now, if I live, and if you wish it, I will serve you as your most faithful slave, and will beat my sons. Do the same. Forgive me. Page 89. The teacher was very glad to have made peace with his enemy so easily, and to gained him for a friend. And he not only forgave him, but said he would send his servants and his own physician to attend him, and promised to restore his property. Having taken leave of the wounded man, the teacher went out into the porch and looked around for the hermit. Before going away, he wished once more to beg an answer to the question he had put. The hermit was outside on his knees, showing sheets in the beds that had been dug the day before. The teacher approached him and said, "For the last time, I pray you to answer my question, wise man." "You have already been answered," said the hermit, still crouching on his thin legs and looking up at the teacher who stood before him. "How answered? What do you mean?" asked the teacher. "Do you not see?" replied the hermit. "If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday, and had not dug those beds for me, but had gone your way, that man would have attacked you, and you would have repented of not having stayed with me. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds, and I was the most important man, and to do me good was your most important business. Afterward, when that man ran to us, the most important time was when you were attending to him, for if you had not bound up his wounds, he would have died without having made peace with you. So he was the most important man, and what you did for him was your most important business. Remember then, there is only one time that is important. Now it is the most important time, because it is the only time when he have any power. The most necessary man is he with whom you are, for no man knows whether he will ever have dealings with anyone else, and the most important affairs is to do him good, because for that purpose alone was man sent into this life. Exercise A. Tick the right choice. Question number 1. The teacher wanted answer to 3 important questions so that he could be A. powerful, B. successful, C. rich, D. more intelligent. Question number 2. The teacher was unhappy with all the answers he received because A. they were wrong, B. he did not agree with any of them, C. the answers were the same, D. all of the above. Page number 90. Question number 3. The hermit did not answer the teacher because A. he wanted the teacher to continue digging, B. he did not want the teacher to dig any more. C. He did not want the teacher to leave. D. He did not know how to answer the teacher. D. Which of these statements are true? A. The teacher was cruel and unjust. B. The teacher was kind and helpful, but he was not very clever. C. The teacher was kind and helpful, but he was not strong. D. The teacher was kind and helpful, but he was also shrewd and just. Exercise B, question number 1. Choose the option that best answer the given questions. Question number 1, for what 3 question does the teacher wants answer? A. The most important time, the most important person, and the most important thing to do. B. The best way to get rich, the best person who can help him to get rich, and the best place to achieve this. C. The least important time, the least important person, and the least important thing to do. D. The secret of eternal happiness, the person who can help him secure it, the place where he can be found. Question number 2. Whom does the teacher finally approach for the answer? A hermit renowned for his wisdom. B. A doctor well known for his healing touch. C. A wizard famous for his magic spells. D. An astrologer who can actually foretell the future. Question number 3. Why does the teacher disguise his appearance before the meeting? A. The teacher did not want to reveal his identity. B. The teacher found his royal clothes too heavy to wear while traveling. C. The teacher was fond of thinking people with various disguise. D. The teacher knew that enemies were waiting attack him on the way. Question number 4. Describe the sudden turn of events that take place even as the teacher patiently waits for his answer. A man rushes out of the forest and attacks the teacher, wounding him grievously. B. A man rushes up injured and bleeding to the teacher, who attends to his wounds and helps him recover. C. The teacher kills a man who tries to attack them, and the hermit attends to his wounds and helps him recover. D. A man rushes out to the forest and attacks the hermit, wounding him grievously. Page 91, question number 5. What were the final answers to the teacher's 3 questions as declared by the hermit? A. The most important time is the past. The most important persons are our ancestors, and the most important things to do is to remember the lessons of history. B. The most important time is the future. The most important person is your best friend, and the most important thing to do is wait for things to happen. C. The most important time is the present. The most important person is the one with whom you are right now, and the most important thing to do is to help them as best as you can. D. The most important time is yesterday. The most important person is yourself, and the most important thing to do is to help yourself first. To answer in about 300 words. Question number 1. Do you agree with the hermit's answer to the teacher's 3 questions? If yes, state why, giving examples from the text to support your argument. If not, state 3 reasons why you do not agree. Question number 2. Choose any one of the 3 main characters of the story and write a diary entry of about 300 words explaining the day's events from the perspective of that character. Question number 3. Imagine that you were present at the time of the event and write a blog post explaining the lessons you indirectly learned or were taught using detail from the story. Exercise C. Fill in the blanks with appropriate gerunds from the text. Gerunds normally appear in noun-like form. Word plus ing. 1. Not dash oneself be absorbed in idle pastimes. One should always attend to all that was going on and then do what was most needful. Bracket let. L-E-T. Question number 2. All the answers dash different. The teacher agreed with none of them and gave the reward to none. Bracket B. B-E. Question number 3. Yet dash to find the right answer to his question, he decided to consult a hermit widely renowned for his wisdom. Bracket wish. W-I-S-H. Question number 4. The hermit just spat on his hand and recommended dash. Bracket dig. D-I-G. Question number 5. When at last the blood stopped, dash, the man revived and asked for something to drink. Bracket flow. F-L-O-W. Question number 6. Dash, on the bed, the man closed his eyes and was quiet. Bracket L-I-E. Lie. 3 questions. প্রোজটা এখানেই শেষ হলো, এই সঙ্গে প্রোজ পার্ট এখানে শেষ হলো, পোয়েট্রি পার্ট পোর্শন পরবর্তী ফাইলে।